That's the only time I feel really alive.
That's what David wanted.
Blood, I was to find, was a necessity as well.
A vampire in love with a slayer. It's rather poetic. I am the monster the breathing men would kill. I am Dracula.
Good evening, my fellow vampire lovers. The sun is going down, and you know what that means. It's time for me to record another episode of my podcast, The Beautiful Dead. As always, I'm your host, Lena Nazari. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, The Beautiful Dead Podcast, or go to lenanazari.com. And then there's ways to, reach out to me. Or go into the video description and join our Discord server, because then you can talk every day, all day. That's what we do. We talk about vampire stuff all the time now. All right. So we're ending, no, that's not true. I'm still doing viewer requests next month, but we're ending March on a bang. So this one was requested by multiple people, and I had never heard of it. So I found the DVD and I was like, oh, why not? I'll watch it. I never heard of it before. So I, settled down into my coffin and flipped on the movie. And I was surprised. We will get to it. So let's talk about it. If you have never listened to this podcast or watched this channel, massive spoiler alert. I talk about everything from beginning to end. You're going to know who kills who has sex with who, blah de blah. So we're talking about Razor Blade Smile. Yes, I had never heard of it. So let's get into it. We open obviously in a flashback long time ago, woman on horseback racing through the countryside, and then we see what appears to be two men preparing for a duel. She races up, jumps off the horse and starts to run just as the duel is about to get started, and the men are starting their paces. They turn to fire, the younger man is shot. She screams, she pulls a gun, she fires on the winner of the duel, who just laughs. And then his man, the winner of the duel, his assistant, shoots her in the back. The winner of the duel scoops her up, carries her into a home, and then we see her in bed, gasping for breath, having lost a lot of blood. The duel winner refuses to get her a doctor, and then we get a voiceover. The voiceover is from a woman named Lilith Silver.
My name is Lilith Silver, and that was the day I should have died. However, far from things ending, the real fun was just about to begin.
Lilith, good reference. Who should have died that day. In the flashback, someone removes her cross necklace and the duel winner flashes fangs and bites into her. So we see there are two sharp retractable canines. And in the voiceover, she tells us all that we know fuck all about vampires.
I bet you think you know all about vampires. Believe me, you know fuck all.
And then we get our opening credits. So now it's present day. And she explains to us she's got nothing but time on her hands. So we know that they live forever. At a bar that is like it's a vampire themed bar, and we see a bunch of people inside, and we could hear Bela Lugosi's dead, which hell yeah, good, awesome reference. And it looks like the bar is full of vampires, but they're actually lifestylers. They're fans, they like to lifestyle as vampires. And Lilith is amongst them, and they were all arguing about the reality of vampires. Then we cut to her apartment, and she is gearing up in leather and weapons. And by the way, her weapons are kept in a coffin, which is pretty sick. We do see that the fangs are retractable. Then we cut to two men playing tennis, and they are arguing, and unbeknownst to them, Lilith has slipped past them and into a gated area. Now we're in a bathroom where a man is sipping champagne in a bubble bath, and his girl goes to get him more as Lilith climbs through a window and sneaks into the bathroom. He doesn't know it's her because he's put a washcloth over his eyes. He thinks his girl is back, but she covers his mouth and bites him. Then she slips this ring off his finger that has like an eyeball on it, and we see that he's wearing a silver necklace with like some kind of star on it or some kind of symbol. She takes the ring, but it falls into the water, and she goes to get it, but an alarm goes off, so she takes off. The guards outside shoot at her. It doesn't matter. She stands back up, throws knives into both of them. Our voiceover tells us that the drinking blood part is real, and sometimes they taste great, but sometimes, like with the man she's biting right now, they are drug users and it tastes awful. So we have seen this in other things. The quality of the blood, the taste of the blood, depends on the health of the human you are drinking from. We also learn that when she's been injured, she has to drink extra to heal herself. Now we cut to a man, and it is the man who turned her, the duel winner. His name is Sathane, so that's what we're going to call him. He's alive, and he's at a meeting with some other people, including an inspector who has been hired to investigate a series of murders. Each one was completed by a hitman called the Angel of Death, and at each murder, a ring, just like the one we saw with the eyeball, is removed. He believes the hitman is a vampire, but the inspector, who's named Price, that's what we're going to call him, doesn't agree and does not believe in vampires.
Personally, I do not believe in vampires. In my opinion, these murders are the work of a highly skilled human assassin.
All Sathane cares about is that the inspector finds out who's killing his people and puts an end to it. Later, Price is at the crime scene of the bathtub murder. Another cop refers to him as Van Helsing. So even though Price doesn't believe in vampires, apparently there's like rumors in the squad referring to him as Van Helsing. I'm guessing because he's investigating these series of murders that look vampire-ish. We learn one of the bodyguards who was killed was high on PCP, which is probably why he tasted like shit. And the other cop hands over the eyeball ring in an evidence bag. Outside the house, a woman approaches Price and says she wants to talk. Now we cut to daylight. Lilith is in a graveyard in the sun. We know how I feel about this. She is meeting a man named Platinum, and we see that they once had a sexual liaison. He wants more, she wants more. He says it was a mistake, but it does happen again. Spoiler. They end up back in bed together. We learn that Platinum is the man who hires her for these hits. He's sort of like the businessman, and he does not know that she's a vampire. Post-coital, he says, "Did you get the ring?" And she says, "No, your client will have to go without his trinket this time." He alludes to the fact that he used to be a hitman, but he kind of lost the taste for it. He just doesn't have the stomach for it anymore. And then he gives her her next target and says, "Get the ring this time." And we see that her next target is Inspector Price. At Scotland Yard, Price calls Sathane and tells him he's recovered the ring from the most recent murder. He explains that a witness told him something that supports Sathane's theory that the killer is a vampire. Now we're back with Lilith. She's having a video chat with a guy named Chill, and she shows him the symbols from the file of the new guy from Price, and the symbols are the eye from the ring and the symbol on the necklace. And she's like, "They've all been wearing this." And he's like, "Give me a little time to figure it out." At the vampire bar, she's with her human friends, and one of the human friends has gotten designer fangs that she's popped in. A guy comes in and asks to take their pictures, and he says, "I'm a photography student, and my final project is on people who think they're vampires." So he takes a whole bunch of pictures.
Oh, that's great. That is good. Yep, okay, now how about a bit more mood, a bit more attitude, huh?
Then he goes out and we see that in fact he was hired by Price to go in and take pictures of everyone in the bar. Lilith goes back to the apartment with one of the girls that she's been hanging out with at the bar. It's the girl that had the fake fangs in. And they start to do what sexy adults do. And then Lilith licks her menstrual blood off her fingers. So we know that the vampires can essentially drink any type of blood, including menstrual blood. Lilith explains that she can make the death feel wonderful, and then they will essentially die from pleasure.
Am I dreaming?
And we see that the girl is like kind of mesmerized during this activity because she's seeing Lilith with fangs, and she's like, am I dreaming? And then once she's dead, Lilith lights the body on fire. So that's how she's covered this kill. Now we cut to her meeting with Platinum on a roof, and then he like shifts into a man that she killed in the bathtub, and we realize that she's having like kind of like a nightmare. So either it's a vision or the vampires can dream in this world. Meanwhile, Price is looking at the pictures from the bar. So he's trying to figure out who his vampire is. All right. It's daylight. Lilith explains vampires can be out during the day, but it's very hard on their eyes because their eyes are very sensitive, hence why she's wearing sunglasses. She gets home, she lies in bed, but she has more of these like vision/nightmares. And in this one, there's flames, there's chanting, and we see Sethane. Price is with the witness, who, by the way, was the girlfriend of the guy from the bathtub. So she's looking at pictures and she points out Lilith. And she's like, I went to go get champagne. I came back. I saw Lilith totally vamped out. And so I went and I hid. When Lilith left, she followed Lilith to the vampire bar, and that's how she was able to send Price there. And then she gives him a crucifix to protect himself. Now we are back with Lilith, and we see that the vampires do cast a reflection. She called the photographer from the bar and asked for a private shoot, and she starts to blow him, and he's pretty excited, but then the doorbell rings, and he's like, don't stop, and then she bites him.
For fuck's sake! Don't answer it! Don't stop! Oh, God. Oh!
Yikes. She goes and opens the door. It's Price and another officer. She is arrested and taken to the station, and we see that Price is wearing a crucifix now. He shows her pictures. It's all the victims that he thinks that she has killed over a century. So we know that Price is bought in. He knows vampires are real. He's got the crucifix. He thinks that she's a vampire and that she's been killing people for over a century. When the other officer's not looking, she flashes her fangs, but only to Price. So he breaks off a chair leg to try and stake her. So the other cop pulls him away and he's like, I'm so sorry, because he probably thinks his partner's gone insane.
I should have listened to the rumors.
Fuck. Price!
Now we get a flashback. We find out that just after she was turned, she was led to the room where the man that she was trying to save was shot, and he's laying there and he's like slowly dying from the duel. He's bleeding, but he's still alive, and we learn that that was Lilith's first kill. That's dark. That is dark. All right, back to present day. Lilith is set free with apologies from the police, saying, I'm so sorry that he tried to stake you with a chair leg. She goes to the subway and she I don't know if she's dozing off and having dreams or if she's like having visions, but it is Sethane, and he's talking about how he is the way. Meanwhile, Price calls down to the carpool and asks for a car that he can use for a stakeout. Cut to him outside her place carving a steak. Nice. She walks right by the car and into her place, so I guess she doesn't have unless she knows he's out there and she doesn't give a shit, it's not like she can smell him or anything like that. She goes inside to lay down and get some rest, so we see that she sleeps in a bed, and then she gets a video call from Chill. And he tells her, like, listen, you have stumbled onto something really big. That 7-pointed star and the eyeball ring are symbols of the Illuminati. He says they are impenetrable. They're everywhere. You need to be careful. Outside, Price picks the locks, armed with stakes and a mallet. He finds her asleep in bed and stakes her, but it's a nightmare. It's all a dream. Her phone rings and a voice tells her, go check your post. There is an envelope addressed to the Angel of Death. It has blood splatter on it, and inside is a videotape and a map with a bloody circle. The tape that she plays reveals that Platinum has been captured. He's been tied up. He says the client wants his money back on the job because I don't have the ring. So please return the $250,000, which this movie was from the 90s. I should look up what $250,000 in the 90s equals to now, and I'll put it on the screen for the YouTube people. So he's like, return the $250,000. My life will be spared. Come alone, unarmed, today before noon. And then somebody comes around and carves the eyeball into his chest. She arms up. She heads out just as Price is trying to break in. She invites him in. He tries to stake her, but she jams it into his abdomen. He pulls the cross. It doesn't do anything. She questions him and tells him that she was hired to kill that last man. And then he pulls the curtains, and it doesn't burn her, but it does blind her enough for him to run away. So now she heads out to save Platinum. She finds him tied to a chair on top of a boulder in a field. And she goes to him and he's like, it's a trap. And she's like, I know, but I think you're worth it. We see 4 armed men approaching, and then far off, Sathane is watching with binoculars. They shoot her in the back. She just turns and fires on them. They go for cover, and Lilith and Platinum run. She tosses him a gun and tells him to run, but before he can get away, Sathane shows up behind him. They enter into a standoff. We hear a gunshot. We don't know yet who's been shot. Lilith runs up. We see that Platinum was shot. He drops and reveals Sathane behind him.
Bastards get to you. They didn't want me.
And Lilith is like, you. Now it's all become clear. And he's like, I didn't want to keep you to have you in chains. I have been shaping your destiny. She says, just because we take lives doesn't make us gods. We're just predators. He says, you've lost a lot of blood. So you can drink from the dying Platinum and live, or you can use the last bit of blood you have to turn him, but that last bit of blood is going to kill you because now you'll be bled to death. And then Sathane leaves. Platinum dies. She screams into the sky and then bites into him. Price is at Scotland Yard. He's patching up his abdomen where he was staked. Okay. As a nurse, I was like, all right. Then he pulls out the PCP that was left over from the crime scene and he snorts it up. I was like, okay. So better than aspirin. That's all I gotta say. At Sathane's manor, 2 hot leather-clad chick guards are standing outside the front door. Lilith is approaching, and so she takes the cell phone and she throws it, and they hear it land, and then she calls it, so they hear it ring. So they walk over, and one answers.
So what do you think that was?
Probably just a scavenging fox.
And Lilith shoots them both in the back. Then she enters the manor with a samurai sword, which you guys know I love when vampires use swords. I'm not a fan of vampires using guns. Love a good sword fight. So then we see the two guards rise because they are vampires. They radio to Sethane and tell him that his guest has arrived. We see Lilith is in one of the rooms when the two guards come in to fight her. She's able to decapitate one. Meanwhile, Inspector Price has arrived, loaded up on PCP, so this is going to be good. Celeste, the guard that's still alive, sees Price and tells him stakes don't work, only decapitation does. Then she tosses him a cane that has a blade inside, and I gotta get one of these. This is the second time I've seen this within a month, and I'm like, dang it, I need a cane sword. Lilith is able to decapitate Celeste, so the two guards are gone. Price runs up with his blade. There's a sword fight, but Sethane arrives behind, like in a T-pose. He like walks up in a T-pose.
You fool. You don't know who you're dealing with.
Oh, I think Brother Price does, Miss Silver.
This is when Price finds out that Sethane is also a vampire. Sethane explains that he's the one that's been hiring all the assassinations. He says, I can make you a vampire, and then Price puts a gun in his mouth and ends it on his own terms, which I was like, wow, I did not see that coming. So then Sethane and Lilith have a sword fight. I love a sword fight. And it's a solid fight, too. It goes on for a while. Great choreography. She gets the upper hand, and she looks like she's just about to behead him. But instead she just scratches his neck, and then he turns and goes, you've gotten good. I thought you were serious. And she's like, this is the best one yet. Police, secret societies, it was so much fun.
Well, you've got good. I thought you were serious.
Oh, you should have seen your face. I must say, this is the best yet. Police, masons, vampire bodyguards. The most fun I've ever had. Oh, God, I love you.
God, I love you. And then he says, you've earned your prize. And she drinks from him, and then they kiss. And he says, okay, let's stop fighting. I've missed your smile. And I was like, what the fuck? Oh my God. Okay. So the voiceover tells us that sometimes you gotta spice things up because being a vampire means, you know, you get bored, but it also means that you can play some very dangerous games with your lover. And it freezes on her and it says, I told you you know fuck all about vampires. You only need to know one thing. Vampires are a contradiction.
We're a contradiction. It's funny. That's the one thing humans never seem to be able to work out. Still, hasn't that always been the problem with humans? They just don't smile enough.
Credits. What? Okay, let's talk about tropes. Let's rate the vampires, and then we have to talk about what I just watched and just talked about. Tropes I love and tropes I hate. Hate vampires in the sun. Yes, I know that Dracula was able to be in the sun. Nosferatu was the first time where Dracula or where vampires were burned by the sun. Blah blah blah. I know all of this. Okay. I personally like my vampires to be nocturnal. I don't want them out in the sun. I don't want them sparkling in the sun. I would rather them not be in the sun. I only allow it for Dracula because he's the OG, but like I prefer my vampires to be nocturnal. This is not vampire specific, but I love a secret society. I love that. And I also love the idea of vampires. Like I've told you before, I love vampires hunting in bars and clubs and stuff. But the idea of her infiltrating a vampire themed bar, I love that. I also love the idea of a vampire assassin. I mean, we saw it in Underworld, but she was like, she was hired or trained to kill werewolves specifically. This is just like, she's just a murder for hire. because she's bored and she's good at what she does. And I'm like, that's a great way to spend eternity. All right, the ratings. How sexy or alluring? We're just looking at Lilith because we don't get to see too much of Sathane. So we're looking at Lilith. How sexy or alluring is she? She is fluid sexually. She stays young forever. She has lots of sex. That being said, I don't think that she has extra allure because she's a vampire. She's just a super hot chick with great boobs. So, of course, people are going to fall for her. She definitely uses her sexuality to get her victims into vulnerable positions. She can make your death feel incredible. I'm going to take away a point because she doesn't have like special allure. She just happens to be super hot. And I'm going to take a point away because having sex with her, it's 99% sure you're going to die if you have sex with her. So I'm going to give her 8 out of 10 onks for sexiness and allure. That's a high score. So normally high sexiness means low scariness. Let's see. So they're not bound by the sun. They're very, very hard to kill. They appear to be great with weapons. They're very strong and agile. They are well connected too, like very well connected. But they can feed without killing you. They don't have to kill you, but I think they choose to. Her first victim was the man that she loved. She was willing to die for this man in a duel, and then she made him her first victim. That's dark. We find out that they set up these elaborate ways to entertain themselves that lead to so many humans dying, and they don't care because they're just bored. We see that they don't mind killing each other because we saw her kill the 2 vampire guards. So all in all, 9 out of 10 stakes to the heart for scariness and evil. I mean, this is not a vampire she's going to make your death feel amazing if she's feeling nice, but for the most part, like, you're not going to make it very far. And she is willing to kill the first man she loved and then willing to kill so many humans just because she's bored. So 9 out of 10. Solid. My thoughts. I expected this movie to be absolute shit. I'm not gonna lie. It showed up. It doesn't have like the greatest cover. It's from England in the 90s, so you can tell the film quality is really not good. And the very beginning, I was like, oh, I don't know about the acting. So up until, I would say for like 90 minutes, I was like, this movie is not earth-shattering. It's got the same old stuff. We've seen it all before. So for the first 90 minutes, I was like, I mean, it's fine. And then the ending. Holy shit. I did not see that coming. It was such a good ending. It was very unique. It's such a unique idea for a vampire film. I mean, you have to like, I can see why people were requesting this one. It is very niche. I had not heard of it until just a month ago. And I've been very well ensconced in vampire life for a very long time. And I had not heard about it until it got requested. And then somebody said it, and then the next person was like, yes, yes, yes. And then the third person was like, oh my God, you have to watch that. So I was shocked. I can't believe I hadn't heard about it. You have to tell me in the comments if you knew about this movie before right now. So I can admit when I was wrong. This is unique. The downside is if you don't know about the ending, it could be a little hard to get through because there are moments where it's kind of dry and you're just like, oh, this is the same old, right? But that ending, man, it was kind of like the ending to Dr. Dracula. Like, to get to the last 4 minutes was hard, but once I got there, I was like, holy shit, that ending. This was very unique. And in a genre that's not always so unique, it was such a good twist. And I'm so good at figuring out endings, and I absolutely did not see this coming. I did not see Price, ending it on his own terms instead of being turned. I did not foresee Lilith and Sathane like being lovers who were just trying to keep each other entertained. I mean, I was absolutely blown away by this. I 100% think that we have Underworld because of her. I'm telling you that somebody saw this and was like, oh, what if I take that but I make it an assassin for werewolves? 100%. This movie was definitely an influence for sure. Guys, please, this is why I do this podcast. I do it so that I can find these like diamonds in the rough that I've never heard about. You know, I always love finding movies that I can look at somebody and be like, if you've never seen it, you got to check it out. I think I can't wait to watch it again when I'm not having to take notes and like pay attention to everything. I just want to sit back and watch it again. And I'm really excited to, and I'm definitely going to make my friends watch this with me. All right, keep your requests coming. I'm going to fit in as many requests as possible, okay? Next week is another one that someone requested, and I was like, you know what? I have done it, but I did it when it was audio only. It was years ago. I have it on DVD, so let's go ahead and redo it for the new format and do it for YouTube. And we are doing Guillermo del Toro's Cronos. So if you've never seen it, oh my gosh, this is one of those ones that when you type in like, you know, greatest vampire movies of all time, this is one of the ones that pops up all the time. So we are gonna do it next week. Please come back. Please keep the requests coming. Let me know if you've seen Razorblade Smile, because I want to know like how behind the times, how many people knew about this movie and I didn't. I feel so out of the loop. Also, let me know if you've seen Cronos, and let me know what movies you want me to cover. I may have already done it, and then I'll just give you the link to the video, or I haven't done it and I will add it to my schedule. All right, gang, I wish you wicked hugs and bloody kisses. Good evening.
And big finish. Thank you.